So hello everyone who's watching this. My name's Zoe and I'm the owner of Authentic Aesthetics in Kenilworth, a skincare clinic that specialises in aesthetic medical treatments basically, but all non-surgical, no needles, nothing like that. And this is Maddie.
Hi, my name's Maddie Myers. I'm actually Zoe's sister, and I'm a registered associate nutritionist. I'm also the founder of Non-Diet Nutrition, which is an online-only nutrition consulting business. So I can offer nutrition online video nutrition consults with people all across the UK. But I am based in Aberdeen, where I also hold workshops and I do talks. I specialize in the non-diet approach and intuitive eating, which basically helps people to stop eating based on external factors like diets or calorie counting apps, for example, and instead rely on their internal signals of hunger, fullness, satisfaction, all of those things instead to guide eating. So it really helps people to kind of move away from the cycle of yo-yo dieting.
Cool. It's a very good introduction.
You too.
I didn't feel like mine was thorough enough, but oh well. So throughout lockdown, I've been doing lots of live videos, and what we wanted to do, we did one last week where I interviewed Madi, and had a lot of people who said that they missed it or they kind of wanted to go a bit more in depth, so we wanted to do a recorded version to kind of go over the same questions again and just make sure you get all your answers really. So I'll be going through asking and we'll just kind of discuss them. So first one we had up was what would you recommend for diet for rosacea, which is obviously a very common skin disorder and a big question that I get asked in the clinic, and I'm sure you get asked about a lot as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we kind of think of diet and rosacea, what we mostly kind of are talking about are trigger foods. So these are different foods that are very individual to a person that can either trigger a flare-up or aggravate their rosacea. So this, like I said, can vary massively between sufferers. So for some, it might be hot drinks like tea or coffee. For others, they find that alcohol or spicy food can be a trigger. But when I kind of looked into some of the better quality research, scientific research has been done into food and rosacea, they also found that certain fatty foods are implicated as well. So some people can find that that is a trigger for them. But then again, the same piece of research also found that even though dairy is often touted as a trigger food for some people, this piece of research actually found it to be beneficial for the people in this study. So it really can vary. And I would always recommend that for someone kind of concerned about what foods in their diet might be triggers for them is to keep a trigger diary. So that's kind of making them know of what they were eating kind of before, during, and after flare-ups, but also making note, really importantly, of what was going on in life during those times as well, because we know, and I'm sure that you could speak more to this, Zoe, that lifestyle has a really big impact on rosacea. So things like exercising, stress, smoking, sun exposure, what the weather's doing, all of these things also can have an impact, if not a bigger impact than diet. I don't know if you got anything to add, Zoe.
Yeah, I think one of the big things to know about rosacea, like so many other skin disorders, is there is no cure. Unfortunately, it is the same when we're treating something like pigmentation, acne, even anti-aging. You can't cure these things. You can't cure aging. You can't cure a skin disorder, but you can manage it.
Yeah.
So it's a case of it's actually an uncommonly known thing that a lot of people with rosacea, they tend to think that they have drier skin because their keratinocyte cells, like their skin renewal process, is a lot faster than others because they have a very oily skin type generally. They don't actually know what causes rosacea, but they generally find that it's linked to people who had acne when they were teenagers. It's very commonly known as acne rosacea. The two can very well be linked. So what people tend to do, they have like this roughness on their skin, and they tend to think it's dryness. So then they put moisturizer on, which makes the problem so much worse. So really with rosacea skin types, I would always recommend exfoliation is really, really important to help with this new cell process coming through. Also anti-inflammatory products, you know, has some really good cosmeceutical products, but even just something like aloe vera can be very good and calming to the skin. And oil control is really important as well, using something like a salicylic or a glycolic acid to just remove that oil production, because that can be weakening the barrier function to the skin and allowing external factors in, which can make it worse, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I know we also talked last time about a bit about probiotics and how gut health can affect well, lots of skin disorders as well.
Yeah, it's a really interesting area right now. I know it's very topical. Lots of people are talking about gut health and probiotics. But it's really important to note that this entire body of research is really new. We don't actually have that much good quality evidence around specific conditions. So when we're talking about rosacea, what we do know is that people who have a pre-existing gut disorder like irritable bowel syndrome, for example, are more likely to have rosacea, but we don't really know why that is. So in terms of kind of what that means for rosacea sufferers and for health in general, is that we need to be eating in a way that supports our gut health. So that's kind of making sure that we're eating a really diverse, varied diet with a focus on plant foods, making sure that we're kind of eating as many different types of plant foods as we can, and that can help to increase the diversity of our gut microbiome. So that's the way to do it through diet, and I would always recommend taking that that route rather than kind of, you know, supplementing with probiotics onto a lacking diet. That's always the way around. I'd recommend it, because with probiotics you don't get the same benefits as you get from eating actual food. Yeah, so with the probiotic side of things, we just don't really know right now.
Okay. Cool. So next one was, does diet affect hormones, specifically in teenage acne?
Yeah, this is a really interesting question, and there's no real like straightforward answer, because obviously we do know that nutrients from food do have an impact on hormone production and regulation. So for example, insulin is a hormone that most of us probably are familiar with, and we know that food has a direct impact on insulin. But when it comes to teenage acne, we really don't have that much research to show that any particular food has that kind of effect on hormones that then has an effect on acne susceptibility, because there's a lot of different variables going on. So genetic susceptibility to acne is a really big factor. So we don't really know whether diet has that much of an effect on teenage acne specifically. I don't know if you got anything to add, Zoe?
No, I think we touched on it last time as well, that, you know, especially parents, they tend to focus in on, well, what are they eating, what are they doing, things like this. And one of the biggest things that most teenagers are doing, not all but most, is applying makeup. A lot of it in some cases, and they're generally not very good at taking it off.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one of the biggest things before you start looking at all these different supplements and diet and things like that. Are they wearing makeup? Is it good quality makeup? Because it's generally quite cheap stuff that's not going to let the skin breathe at all. Always try and opt for something breathable. So like a mineral makeup, something like a Jane Ardell is a great range. Let your skin breathe, and most importantly, take it off. I've seen complete transformations in teenagers' skins from just using a cleanser. Another thing that they tend to do is, again, opt for like a moisturizer. Teenage skins don't need moisturizer. I would argue, I won't go into it too much, but no one really needs a moisturizer. But especially in teenager and younger skin types, they are making plenty of hydration. You don't need to supplement that hydration. You just need to focus on keeping the skin clean. So doing something like that will really make a difference as well.
Yeah, I think I think it's a really good point to get across, is that often with so many aspects of our health, we do concentrate on food and put a lot of emphasis on food in our diet, and oh, it must be something that I'm eating or not eating. But often there's other things going on, and it's never just one reason for it. Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
Cool. Okay, next one. Are there any particular staple foods to include in your diet for better skin?
Great question. I think, again, it's really important to get across the point that there is no real kind of one food or one nutrient that you have to include over other foods in your diet. It's much more important to think about the kind of range of different foods we're eating over time. So again, my advice would be, in order to kind of eat for better skin, is just the same advice I would give for general health. So kind of making sure that you're eating a range of different types of foods from all the food groups that are available to you. You're just really unlikely to see much of a benefit unless you're really lacking in a particular nutrient, or you've been restricting a certain type of new food group that leads to that kind of deficiency in that nutrient. Again, for people who are really trying to, kind of think about their health and potentially their skin health in more detail, is that we know that it's more beneficial for us to kind of get a greater variety of different plant foods into our diet. So these are like, fruit and vegetables, pulses, nuts, seeds, vegetable oils, and whole grains. So we know that that is going to benefit our general health, but potentially also just help us maintain, kind of the best function that we can with our skin. And I know you mentioned last time, because I forgot to say about it as well, is the importance of water. So I don't know if you can just talk a bit about that, Zoe.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Obviously, every single cell in our body needs water, needs nutrients, and just doing something as little as drinking water. I've seen really big changes in some of my clients' skin. Just, obviously everything else that we're doing as well, but they've said, just drinking water has really made an impact.
Yeah.
I think another thing with like vitamins, and I've done a couple of videos about vitamins and why they're important in skincare as well, because your skin is an organ at the end of the day, but everything you put into your body and you eat, your internal organs get the brunt of it, they get the most of it, and then your kind of skin gets left what is left over. So having vitamins within your skincare, like a very important one, is something like a vitamin C, is great for anti-aging, normal skin function, for protecting against pigmentation, preventing against oxidative stress, basically, which is caused by daily damage. So vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin E, having these things in your skincare will really make a difference as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, next one. Any snack ideas to satisfy your tummy and your skin?
I love this question, and when I'm talking with my clients, we do talk quite a lot about eating foods that are going to satisfy us. So satisfying our tummy, like keeping us sustained and full, basically. So we just touched upon about foods for your skin. So that would be just making sure that you're having lots of variety, making sure you're eating different types of plant foods and including them. So kind of the thing for that would be not maybe having the same snack every single day. So if you are one of those people, and I know it's quite an easy habit to get into, is, you have the same snack day in, day out. So just kind of mixing that up a bit, even just a new snack once a week can be helpful. And when we talk about kind of keeping us fuller, I like to talk about it in terms of making a balanced snack. So the two macronutrients that we know are best at helping keep us full are fiber and protein, and especially when we combine them in snacks. So when I talk about that, though, it's important to kind of think about foods and snacks that we can add in rather than taking away. So an example of this might be if your usual snack is a couple of biscuits, that's not likely to keep you particularly full. But if, for example, you had one biscuit and a banana, then that was much more likely to keep you sustained and full for longer. And it's also getting that variety and diversity into your diet too.
Mm-hmm. I like apple and peanut butter.
Such a great one. I eat that all the time.
I'm gonna have some when we finish this. Actually, it's made me hungry for it. um, okay, perfect. Next one: are there specifically any good or bad foods for your skin, or is it just about overall quality of your diet?
Yeah, I think whoever asked this question has, like, they know the answer. So it's basically in the question. It is much more about the overall quality of our diet, and that's the same with our overall health as well. Is that it's not about what you kind of eat on any given day. It's about what you eat consistently. So we're talking about getting that balance and variety of different foods over time. So it doesn't mean that every single meal has to be perfect balance of all the food groups. It's about kind of achieving that over time, and that is what we know is most important for skin and general health.
Absolutely, I would totally agree.
Mm.
Okay, next one this is one of my favorite questions. Why do I break out when I drink alcohol?
Yeah, me too. Because that is something that I've kind of noticed in myself in the past as well. But kind of looking into what scientific evidence we have around this, there's, at the minute, we don't have any evidence that shows that there is a direct link between alcohol and acne. So that's either increasing it or making it worse. But it doesn't mean to say that it doesn't play a role in what's going on in our skin, and that's because of the kind of range of different effects that alcohol has in our body when we drink it. So kind of alcohol causes a general systemic, so entire inflammation. It's also a diuretic, which means that we're more at risk of dehydration, which again we spoke about before is important in skin health. It also can have potential effects on the way our liver is functioning. Our liver is really important for helping to detoxify our body. So in the short term, that's unlikely to have a really significant effect, but kind of that chronic, especially if it's quite a lot of alcohol, if that's over a significant amount of time, then that can have a real impact. But again, this will depend on kind of you as an individual, because our genetics determine quite a lot of our response. It'll depend on what you drink and of course how much you're drinking.
Yeah, I know last time we also considered that generally when you're out drinking or you're drinking a lot and you've put makeup on and then you come home, you're probably not going to take it off or not take it off very well.
Guilty.
I've got to say, I did it myself. I always wake up with no makeup on. So I always manage to do it.
Trained it into yourself.
After how many years? So there you go. Okay, so this is our last one now. So is it true if you touch greasy food, then touch your face, you will break out? I think this is one we discussed a bit, but it's one of these things that you just always need to be aware of bacteria and, you know, things that you're touching and then touching your face. It's much more likely that your phone is going to be something that would cause you to break out, because most of us, you know, we're all being very thorough about washing our hands at the moment, but how often do you wash your phone? It has been one good thing that's come of this. I've been much more conscious about cleaning it down every day, and especially when I've been out and about. But no, it's one of these things. It's a myth. Just make sure that whenever you're doing any cleaning regime, whenever you're touching your face, always wash your hands before you do anything, and after as well. I've had an incident before where I've been using retinol, and then retinol, you know, obviously it causes skin peeling and flaking, and then I've still had it on my hands, and I've kind of gone on here, I've gone on here, and yeah, I've started really everywhere. Yeah, just be conscious of that, really.
Good tip.
Oh, well, that was all of our questions. Is there anything else you want to go over, or?
No, I don't think so.
That's covered a nice broad range of skin conditions.
Absolutely. I think especially the kind of more common ones as well. So hopefully we put some kind of myths to bed and shed a bit of light around that.
Definitely. So underlying thing is drink lots of water, and eat a balanced diet.
Groundbreaking.
Put it's in the history books for this. Cool, that was fun. Thanks for joining us, guys, and yeah, see you soon.
Thanks.